You ever started to do something and then you realized that like it was going to be more taxing on you than everybody else? And then you were like, whatever, I'll be fine.
Yes. Like the typical, like, oh, no, it's okay. I'll be fine. Yeah, totally. I used to do this all the time when you would get home from alerts in North Dakota. So you'd work like your typical 36-hour shifts, right? Yeah. And so basically he'd get home during the afternoon and then we'd have the rest of that day, so like half a day, and the next day to ourselves after I got home from work.
Well, you had work, yeah. So right. I had the whole day off, but you had to work
I had to work that day. So we'd get max like 4 hours together in like every 3 days or something like that sometimes. Nuts. So, and if I stayed late, that time would go down, and sometimes we wouldn't even see each other in like 36-hour periods. But
there was a period of time where you were staying late like every single day, and for the life of me, I could not convince you to come home on time.
I know. I felt so obligated, and I think part of that is like I was the only person in charge for a short period of time, and so I felt bad. Oh, was it before then too?
It was way before.
Yeah,
then.
It was bad.
Yeah. So we know that there are some of you out there that are like that, that and like I do too. I've got my own moments in time where, I've felt obligated to do things that I was not in any position to be doing for other people. But today, that's what we're going to talk about. The title, you heard it, is called Quit Saying I'll Be Fine. What we mean by that, well, we'll break it down. But basically, we're going to talk about how sometimes in life, you just like the most helpful thing you can do for other people is to take care of yourself. Right.
To say, I won't be fine. Like, let's be honest. I won't be fine. I need to take care of myself first, and then I'll be fine. I'll actually be fine.
Then I can help you.
Right. Not this like fake fine where I'm giving you like 50% of myself when you need 100%. Because that's not actually fine.
Roll the intro. Welcome to the Let's Quit podcast.
Quitting is not always a bad thing.
If you have the right mindset, quitting can be the most powerful tool you have on your journey to success. It's certainly been helpful for us.
Whether it's flying through hurricanes, building our businesses, or just trying to get to bed on time, we're always trying to level up and improve our lives.
This is the show where we share the lessons, experiences, and friends that have helped us live this incredible life. So let's quit the bad and grow the good together. All right, well, we'd like to welcome you to our 30th episode of the Let's Quit podcast.
30?
Yeah, 30.
That's so old.
I feel like we're celebrating every 5 podcasts.
I know, we should really stop doing that. That's not as exciting.
Why didn't we celebrate at 29? 29 is almost as important as 30.
Yeah, why are we leaving 29 out? He's going to start feeling bad.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for the new listeners. Thank you for the returning listeners. We just appreciate that, there's a small audience that wants to hear us ramble for
30 to 45 minutes, 45 to 47 minutes if we've had a really busy week.
Yeah, as much as we love doing the podcast, like it's really just for us. If we can just be totally selfish, it's just for us to organize our thoughts from the past week and everything else.
It's kind of therapeutic because a lot of connections we don't see until we've talked it through, and we're both the type of people that were like, you want me to sit down and think through all my thoughts and feel what I actually felt? Nah, we can just start something new and skip that step altogether, but then we're not fine.
Ooh, yeah. So in the spirit of that, what have we been up to this week? I feel like this has been a pretty frantic week. I just got back from flying with a unit. We did a little tour of the Southeast United States. Just gotta train, fly the airplanes, get familiar with airports that we may have to divert to, with hurricanes and stuff. We just want to make sure everybody's staying sharp. So did a little bit of a training flight last week. So Jennie was at home by herself. What did you do while you were alone?
I had one of my friends from college come visit me for a few days while Davis was gone. And that was a blast because I have not seen her in forever. She's an Air Force pilot. She's super cool. And so we just hung out and did stuff. I still had some work to do while she was here. But otherwise we had a lot of fun. We engraved her a charcuterie board and everything. I feel like we get so used to building and like engraving all these boards that they're still cool to us. We still like them, but they definitely kind of lose the pizzazz and sparkle.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so when somebody else comes over and they're like, oh, I can engrave my own, and you're like, yeah, of course you can. Let's like hang out, we'll engrave you a board, we'll make a charcuterie board together, it'll be fun. Then you kind of start to see the sparkle come back because you're like, okay, like people do think these are cool. I forget because I just see them as like numbers that I have to put through the Glowforge every day. But yeah, so that was fun.
Yeah. that was pretty much it.
Yeah, we did
we
that.
We came back, and then you started selling a lot more cutting boards. I know every single week we talk about selling cutting boards, but I mean, right now, that's just, that's where we're at right now. That's how we're going to grow the business and everything else. So Jennie's been doing an amazing job selling cutting boards. We had a little dry spell. We didn't know how it was going. We talked about that in a couple episodes ago, but like, I don't know, things have bounced back. There's cash flow moving again.
Yes.
We've got a good system. Like, I don't know, we're just in a really good spot.
Yeah,
So.
We're starting to make some good connections. I think one of my goals is to like definitely get out into the community of Houston a little bit more, whether that's with like other businesses, other, I don't know, just like people who are on Instagram, whatever. But we're starting to make some connections, which is nice.
Yeah. In addition to that, we officially took our first paycheck, which is what our YouTube video was about yesterday when it posted. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So basically this whole 3.5 years that we've been doing YouTube, if you guys don't know, we have a YouTube channel. We might have some listeners that don't know that. I don't know. And we've been doing it for about 3.5 years, and we have not taken a paycheck yet. Between everything we do, between YouTube, our like programs that we have, the woodworking business, any avenue that we have some sort of income, we have not taken anything from. We've reinvested it into both of our businesses just to help them grow a little bigger, help them grow faster, that kind of stuff. And so now we're to the point where it's like we're talking employees. Hey, we want to hire employees one day. How are we going to set up a system to start paying them if we don't even have a system set up to pay ourselves? And then we're just going to be super behind on the whole money game. And finally, we just said, you know what? We need to sit down and just do it. We need just to pay ourselves a paycheck, no matter how small, even though we kind of don't want to and we feel guilty and we've built it up to be this like negative, bad thing. Like, well, we don't need to be taking paychecks. We can do better things with it. We can reinvest it and build bigger. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times on the podcast, but like we take our financial advice from people with a net worth of more than $5 million. And one of the things that almost every person at that level says is pay yourself first, because they've been there, they've done that, they've burned out, and they don't have any money left over. And they're like, what the heck? Now I got nothing for myself. So not in a selfish way, but in a double down on taking care of yourself so that you can take care of the business better. Pay yourself first, then pay the IRS, and then with whatever's left over is what you can use for reinvesting and stuff like that. So we didn't go 100% on that. We sort of took, I don't want to spoil the YouTube video if you haven't seen it, but we're starting to take a tiny bite out of the revenue streams that we have coming in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It was kind of scary. It's been, I don't know. I don't want to say the video's ingenuine, but it's been 2 months. Like, it took us a while to make this video. So we made the video sound like it's been, this week was the first time. I mean, the footage was from last month, but we made it sound like it was this month, but it was really last month. So I don't even know why I said that. But
anyway, it was just, so now we're like speaking here and now, like we've had a couple rounds of like taking our paychecks, and we've kind of been able to adjust the numbers and kind of fine tune where we want them to be. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The nerves have settled. Like, I don't feel guilty for taking money out anymore. I don't know. I shouldn't feel guilty in the first place, but I know. But here we are.
I think of what the money could do for the business, but then I also realize if we don't have enough money if one of us had to go get a real job, then we'd be dead in the water because we wouldn't have the time to build these businesses. So
it's like,
if you really care about the business, we need to be taken care of first.
Yeah.
And then everything else can come after.
It's just, it was one of these like big milestones. I feel like we have some pretty big milestones that we've hit like along the way of the business. Moving into the new shop, building it up to do production rather than just like custom builds, taking our first paycheck, talking about hiring first employees, talking about commercial spaces. So I feel like this was just kind of one of our big steps.
Yeah. And it's exciting too, because like we're documenting the whole process and we're putting it on YouTube, which is kind of risky. It's kind of scary because things might not work out. We got a video coming up pretty soon. Like, I don't know, like it's so much fun to make these YouTube videos because we're adding some sparkle, but we're not acting.
Right.
Like we've got to play it up a little bit sometimes, but
just to keep people's eyeballs like on the video so we can make the point.
And of course there's no way that we can show you everything that's going on. So understand the context of our channel first, but like at the same time, it's going to be dirty. We're going to screw up.
Yeah.
We're going to look back in 2 or 3 years and look back and I can say, I can't believe we were teaching other people this kind of stuff.
I don't think it'll be like that bad because I feel like we stay pretty on par with like the basics because we literally we're just listening to people who have done it right.
Right, and then we're using it and seeing that it works, which is why
and
we're
once
teaching
it works for us, we're like, oh wow, they were right, it works, and that's what we teach. So I really don't think we'll be too off base. I think it's going to be little things that we'll look back on and kind of laugh at,
like what,
like the fact that we felt so bad taking our first paycheck, like when we got our first planer, we're going to be so excited and we're going to look back and say like, oh my gosh, look how tiny that thing was, or I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely times I can look back now and say, why did we wait buying that tool? We should have just bought it. We could have. Yeah. So I can see that same concept playing out with the YouTube channel too.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
We also this week started Belay rock climbing to completely shift gears into personal life.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to talk about this.
Yeah. So we've the rock climbing gym we've been going to, we've mostly just been bouldering and doing like not self belays. What's it called? Auto belays.
Yeah, big spring loaded thing that'll like, it takes up the slack while you're climbing up the wall, and then it like slowly lets you down on your way down.
Right. So you don't need a second person to like belay you or hold the rope or anything. And that's what we've been doing as we've been, progressing and getting better and improving our climbing skills.
But yeah, we went to go climb the other day, and one of the guys that checks us in, and we're starting to, start to learn the staff there because we go there so often. And one of the guys was like, "Hey, have you guys ever wanted to climb the big wall? Like, what's going on?" And we're like, "Oh man, like we just haven't made the time for, coming in to take the class because you got to take this little certification class. It takes like an hour, but like they want to check you off and make sure. And we've done it before, but we're kind of rusty, and you need to be certified in that gym to do it. Anyway, just." The rock climbing gym was more of an escape for us, not something to devote time to. So we weren't going to like carve time out of our schedule to go take this class. Well, we just happened to show up one afternoon. He's like, "I'm about to start a class right now. If you guys want to do it, hop in." And we're like, "Okay." And he very quickly knew that like we were familiar with climbing. We had done it before.
Yeah,
so I
haven't belayed since college. I don't know the last time you belayed.
Yeah, but you've done
anybody.
it before.
Yeah.
Like some of those skills, like, obviously the muscle memory comes with time, but like at the same time, like just conceptually knowing what's happening with the rope and where to stand and where to be and like the different knots you need to know, like that stuff sticks around. So he very quickly identified that and he kind of cut us loose.
I thought it was really funny. He kind of kicked our butts too. We came in like we literally just showed up that day because we're like, "Oh, I just need to blow off some steam. We're just gonna boulder for a while." And we walk in. He's like, "Hey, you guys have been coming for like a really long time. Why have you never done our belay course?" And we're like, "Oh, you're right." He's like, "I'm doing a class right now. You should join. It won't take long." We're like,
so
"Dude,
thankful.
Thanks for kicking our butts."
Yeah,
like,
we told him
nice.
that on the way out. We were like, "Hey, thanks for kicking our butts. Like, we're excited to do this now." So what I really want to do is lead climbing.
Yeah.
So I see there's a couple of routes, the harder routes so let me back up. Like, because we've been bouldering for so long and we haven't done like actual climbing, we're starting at a much higher level in climbing. Like, if you know anything about climbing routes, like 511 is where they start to get like, I don't know, pretty serious or like
more difficult.
Right. It's not just, it's not something your 8-year-old kid can just climb up, without practice. Like 511 is where the actual real routes start. And that's where we're at right now is like, we're starting at the, I don't want to like use the wrong word, but like average or like above average starting point.
Yeah, we're kind of skipping like the beginner routes and stuff because we've kind of got that out of our system through bouldering.
We also don't have the endurance for it. Anyway, but like the super advanced level of climbing is called lead climbing, where there's somebody on the ground feeding you rope, but you're clipping the rope into these clips.
Carabiners.
Yeah, that are like already attached to the wall. So when you fall, you actually fall like 20, 30 feet before the ropes catch you. Like your partner literally like usually jumps up off the ground because,
you're falling, like, and they need to grab the rope.
And they're catching all of your weight. So, but that's like a 4-hour class, and I don't know when we're going to make time to do that.
Yeah.
But you got to buy your own harness. I don't know.
Right. I think it's kind of like a liability thing. They're like, "Hey, you can do this." And I mean, the majority of the people in the gym do it all the time. That's what the gym is literally built for. But they're kind of like, "Hey, if you're going to do this, you're bringing your own equipment because if something happens, like, you're not blaming it on our equipment."
Well, that and like it's a long class. And,
right.
They don't want to constantly have people like clogging up those because there's limited number of those routes and they don't want it's kind of like it's kind of like how we did the stud stack. Like we raised the price of the stud stack like to keep it small. Like maybe they're trying to do the same thing where like you got to be serious about bringing your own equipment because there's only so many people we can have certified in this gym. So I don't know. I'm just guessing, but
we'll see.
I'm really excited for that.
Work up to that level, and when we finally get to do the class. But yeah, this week was fun. We finally started actually like belay climbing, big kid climbing.
Yeah, I can't wait to make a YouTube video about climbing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know how in the world we're gonna work that into woodworking, but
I don't know. We work hurricane hunting into woodworking. No, we don't actually work that in. We just kind of throw those out there and say, hey, this is us behind the scenes. So
I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of, hurricane season has started.
Oh my gosh, already. Right now, Elsa.
Yes, now.
She's letting it go out in the Caribbean.
Elsa is, letting it go. Except it's not cold and snowy. It's basically the opposite.
Yeah, one of the guys we watch for hurricane research and like just projected like everybody's got their own like 11 herbs and spices of what they look at when they're making their forecast. I mean, you should always look at the National Hurricane Center because that's the most official, up-to-date information. But there's a couple people online that make their own little analyses and stuff like that. And one of the guys that we follow, he's got a channel called Tropical Tidbits. He just really gets into the science of it and just does a really good job of explaining conceptually what's going on in the atmosphere. And anyway, we were so expecting to see him like put a picture of Elsa or something in his YouTube thumbnail, but I don't know. He did it on Instagram. I don't know why he's not doing it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That would be really funny to see that.
Yeah. So anyways, that's what's been going on. Definitely not as crazy of a start as 2020 had to the hurricane season.
I saw something the other day that said that the season this year has been more active than this time last year in 2020.
Really? I thought 2020 started off
I don't know if that was
busier.
true or not. It was a random internet comment, and we know the legitimacy of those.
Which is, they're not.
Well, I don't know.
But anyways, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's because we're here in Houston. We're not in Mississippi. But I feel like we were really busy early on in the season when we were in Mississippi. But we'll see. We'll see how the season plays out. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm scheduled to go out later next month, and you're scheduled to go out 2 months from now.
September, yeah.
Because we sign up in like 2-week blocks or whatever, and we do our 2 weeks, and then we go home. But obviously we can go do more if they need more. But this year we're just signed up for 2-week blocks.
Yep.
I'm excited. I can't say that.
I'm not excited for the storms, but I am excited that we are certified to be able to fly these storms and give good data.
I'm excited to do my job. I am not excited that those storms exist. It's such a hard, like, emotional thing to balance.
Right. Because everybody thinks like, oh, the hurricane hunters, it's so cool. And you're like, well, it's kind of not cool because
go watch
you
our
understand
video.
what we're flying through, right?
Go watch our video from last year, Lake Charles. We like filmed some stuff 2 weeks after the storm rolled through, and it was just sad. Disgusting.
Oh, destroyed. Anyway. I mean, anyways. So yeah, it's a balance we got to strike. Like, I can't say we're excited because I'm honestly not excited for people's houses to get, blown over and destroyed and torn apart. Yeah. So.
But it's okay. That's why we do what we do, so they can evacuate. And it's their house getting destroyed, not their lives getting destroyed. So, yeah.
So, anyways, that's what we've been up to, and that's what we'll be up to probably for the rest of the summer.
Not to get too heavy or anything.
Yeah, I know. Got to bring it back around to Elsa and rock climbing and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's our weekly update.
Yeah. So, we want to jump into the title topic?
Let's do it. All right, Jenny, hit them with our quote.
All right, our quote for this week is, lift up your two hands. Remember, one is for helping others, while the other is for helping you. Give a helping hand to whoever needs help. And that is by, I'm going to try my best on this name, I really am, Israel Moore Ivor.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's interesting because you read it and you're like, okay, lift up your two hands. One's for helping you. One's for helping the other. Okay, I get it. That's pretty elementary. And then the last line is, give a helping hand to whoever needs help. That's either you or other people. Like, you are included. You are 50% of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody is born, like, if you know anything about psychology, like, some part of the population is born thinking that they only need to help themselves. And the other side of the population is born thinking that they don't need to help themselves. They only need to help others.
And fun fact, you and I are split on opposite coins of that.
I'm the selfish one. Jenny's the martyr. So, like, and neither one of us is correct. You've got to strike a balance between the two. And anyway, it just seeing human beings through that lens has been so helpful for the both of us. Just understanding that, like, this person is naturally selfish. So, I should really take it seriously and really encourage them when they do something selfless or when they help somebody else out. So just understanding that, like, You can't help it. Your brain's just wired one way or the other.
You just have to work hard to balance yourself out.
Right. So this is largely a message that you have had to learn, Jennie, of like not like, because you're constantly saying, oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll do it. Like, it's okay.
And I say that so lightly,
Okay. I'm going to take a guess. There's not many things I don't know about you, but I'm going to go ahead and take a guess and say in high school, you were the type of person that did the whole group project.
Well, yeah.
You like did not let anybody touch it. You were just like, no, I'll do that for you. No, I'll help you build this.
So that's twofold. One is because I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to like put that work on somebody else. Like if somebody else is struggling or is having a hard time, like I'll just take it and do it. But the other half is like, sometimes I just don't trust you. Like there's always that person that doesn't get their part done because they're just completely unreliable and untrustworthy and don't care. So you're like, all right, if I want a good grade, like move, I'll do it for you.
Right, but see, my order of priority is opposite. I'm just like, yo, I want a good grade, so I'll do all the work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really give a flip what you can or can't do or what work I'm taking from you or giving from you. I just want a good grade.
Yeah.
And I really don't trust the other people. Like, for you, it's the opposite. You're like, oh, I'll help out, but like, also, can you please take care of me too? Like,
yeah,
you know, your trust comes after your willingness to do somebody else's job.
Right.
Mine is the opposite.
Right. So basically what we mean by like quit saying I'll be fine is stop automatically assuming that you can pull it off. Like stop ignoring yourself and your needs.
Yep.
And saying, oh, I'll be fine when you don't really know what that means. And I say that because like I say I'll be fine very lightly. I don't actually understand what that means to say I'll be fine. I'm just like, oh, it's a nice catchphrase to get people off my back. And
well, your default assumption is I'll figure out a way to make it work for myself.
Yeah.
And the cold hard truth is that you don't. You
Right.
never get around to it. You never actually take care of yourself. Like we talked about, like when I was coming back from alert, like you just stayed at work. You're like, I'll be fine. I don't mind being at work. But then you don't realize that part of your responsibilities are making sure that, you know, your family's taken care of.
Right.
And for a short period of time, like you and I were very unhappy with each other because you were at work all the time. And I know that the listeners have dealt with this problem before.
Yeah.
Military
Everybody
or not,
deals with that.
everybody's mad at their spouse, like staying at work for too long or being out on Saturday without the kids or like whatever the imbalance is. Like you got to find a way to take care of it. And a lot of times we hide behind this facade of like, oh, I'm just helping other people. How dare you get mad at me when I'm like helping people out, especially in the military. Can we just sit on that for a second?
They foster that mindset.
Oh my gosh,
in
they
you.
love it. The military would love, and this is Davis and Jennie's opinion here, okay? But like the military will raise your kids for you. Like they so badly want you to martyr yourself. Like they have the CDC, like in the Air Force. I don't know if it's the same thing in other branches, but like they will literally give you daycare anytime, any day because you're at work. Like they will raise your kids for you if you don't want to. And and a lot of people don't. They get rewarded at work for being the martyr and they neglect their kids and they neglect their families.
And it's sad to see. It really is so sad to see because you just wish some people would learn this lesson of like, hey, it's okay. Like go home early, take the day off.
But you try to call them out on it and they're like, no, I'm needed here. Like you guys really need my help. And it's like, yo, really? We don't though. Like, yeah, you're doing really important stuff sometimes, but like part of one of the brilliant things of the military machine is that not any one person is critical to the whole operation.
Mm-hmm. And it has to be built that way.
Right. Like, because if somebody gets taken out or somebody leaves or somebody moves to a different base, like you still have to get like the job done.
Right.
So it's this like, it's like a net or a chain link fence. It's like you can clip any one or two like webbings and the whole thing will still work. Now, if you clip enough of them, it'll fail.
Right.
But if you clip one or two, in large part, the net or the fence will still work.
Right.
But anyway, I say all that to say like, sometimes you're not... you got to take care of yourself first. Let's just go back to our YouTube video. Like the thing that they tell you when you get on a commercial airplane, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on, or you try to help other people put it on.
Yes.
Even children. And
I remember when I first told you that I used to have like an issue with that saying, or like not even that I had an issue, it just that it struck me weird, or something always felt weird about that saying to me when I was younger. I get it now, obviously, but I'd be like, wait, what Okay, I mean, that kind of strikes a nerve because I'm like, I mean, would you not want to help somebody else and like help them first before you help yourself? Isn't that just like the good thing to do? And I remember when I first told you that, you're like, what? I've never thought that
I didn't believe
day
it.
in my life.
I always sat on the plane. I'm like, who in the world needs to hear that? Like, see, like, what kind of person is so dim-witted that they are gonna, like, this is just me projecting my own insecurities, but like, what kind of person is so dim-witted that they're so stupid they don't think that they like need to put it on themselves before they help? Because if you're like, and like, I'm sorry, but like, I'm right on this one, unfortunately, embarrassingly, but like the way the world works is like you're not going to be able to help the kid put their oxygen mask on. Otherwise, you're going to be passed out in the aisle, like not breathing.
Right.
And now instead of the flight attendants getting the life rafts or whatever else they've got to do, important stuff, like they're
busy moving you out of the way and putting the oxygen mask on you and
So,
wasting the time and not helping everybody else. So you're
anyway,
not really helping people.
We just love that example because it's such a clear, tangible understanding for this life lesson of like, yo, if you really want to help people, you got to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
You cannot neglect yourself too much.
Absolutely.
Same thing with money. Like, oh my gosh, like if you give every spare, there's a TikToker we follow. I won't say his name because like, dude makes money on TikTok, gets paid very well with his job. But he gives every last dime that he gets away. And he's one of these martyr people. And like, yeah, like he's gonna be fine. Like other people are gonna take care of him. But like, because people babysit him. Like you can't help other people if you're giving every last little bit of your stuff away. Now, not to say you shouldn't give, you shouldn't be charitable with your time,
but
or
at
your
least
money.
make sure you're taken care of so that you can continue to give things away. Like,
right, because one of these days you're going to burn out and you're going to force everybody else to take care of you when that's not their responsibility.
That's a very fast burning candle when, you know, it's like you're wasting your fuel all up front when you could be offering, you know, a little less fuel at any given time, but you're going to last much longer and benefit more people.
Right. So again, that's just our first point is you can't give from a state of emptiness. If your bucket is empty, you cannot pour anything out for anybody else. You got to go fill your bucket up first, and then you got to go empty it. Then you got to fill it up again, and you got to empty it. It's this whole cycle. And if you're not consistently taking care of your stuff, building systems to help you take care of your stuff, you know, like as much as we love making content for you guys, like before we recorded this podcast, we had to go get something to eat. We had to go make corn dogs in the toaster oven because
Davis had to go make corn dogs in the toaster oven.
What did you have? I forget.
I don't know. I had some like Mexican like fajita bowl thing.
Oh, that's right. Anyway, we had to stop and take food for ourselves so that we could make a better podcast for you. Because if I'm angry at Jennie, that comes across in the video and in the podcast, and it's no help to anybody.
If we're both hangry, it makes for a terrible podcast.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does.
I would say let's record a podcast, but I don't think we could publish it if we ever.
If we tried recording one when we were both hangry, oh my gosh, that would be the most like.
I think we'd both rage quit.
Unproductive podcast ever.
There'd be like 10 minutes of silence because both of us would just like storm out of the room. The sounds of nature.
Yes.
Jennie and Davis.
Yes. Yes. Anyway.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, we've had to do that too, where we take care of ourselves before we create content because nobody's going to want to listen to or get anything out of the YouTube video where we're crabby and like, you know, not talking well or making any of the points we want to make.
Right. And like we're at the end of the day. We're both tired. We did a YouTube video this morning. We're exhausted. Like we've been working on some stuff all week. Like it's almost 4:00 now as we're recording. Like we got to be done. Like I don't even know if we're going to be able to edit this episode because like it's like I won't be fine. If I stick around and edit it, I won't be fine. We need to like take some time off, do a crossword puzzle, go to the rock climbing gym. I don't know, have a beer.
Do whatever
you need to do to like unwind and relax because I'm not going to be if I burn myself out today, I'm not going to be any good for anybody tomorrow. And tomorrow we got to record stud stack content. So we got to be on our A game at all times. And that just requires a balance in many areas of life.
Yep.
Which brings us to our second point. Sometimes you can't balance things in your life. Bob Clagett, this is like, he wrote the book on this one, Making Time by Bob Clagett. You can't balance everything all the time. It's not a 50-50 balance.
Because sometimes some things need 100% of your time.
Right. So like that time where like Jennie was working a lot, like I needed Jennie more than the Air Force needed Jennie.
Right. So it couldn't be 50-50. It just couldn't. It had to be 100-0. It just wasn't going to work any other way. There was another time when I was getting approval to leave the full-time Air Force to go part-time. I needed to do a ton of paperwork to be able to do that. And we were like trying to move at the same time, sell our house. There was just a ton going on. So there were times where I was like, nope. 100% needs to go to me because I need to focus on this paperwork, on selling my house.
There were some days you just babysat your package of paperwork, going up the chain of command. Like you literally spent the entire day emailing and making phone calls and chasing people down, and you didn't do a lick of work that you were quote unquote supposed to do that day.
My to-do list was like very selfish for like an entire day. It was just visiting people, making phone calls for myself, sending emails for myself. But if I didn't do that, if I didn't set aside like an entire day, the work that I wanted to get done was just going to be bad. It was subpar. It might as well not even do it at that point.
Right. Well, I mean, you can't really focus on your work at hand if you're about to leave that job and you don't even know if you're going to get approval to leave that job, why do you need approval to transfer to a different part of the same Air Force? Anyway, that's for another podcast, another time.
But yeah, so that was a time where I was like, no, I need 100%. You get 0. Like I'm gonna bring it back around. Like I'm gonna come back and give you, the Air Force 100% if it needs it at some point in time.
Well, you did when you transferred to the new unit. We stayed during all of COVID and knocked our training out. So anyway, it
comes full circle. But sometimes you just need to say, hey, I get it all, you get none for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm. And then our third point is. This one, it's like Greek to me. I don't quite understand. We were talking about this yesterday, but I don't quite understand it, but some people need to hear this. Maybe educate me. Let me know. I don't understand where this comes from. If anybody's got any insight or ideas on this, I would love to hear more about someone who believes this. What is your mindset thinking? Not because I'm better than you, because I got my own problems, believe me.
Yes, you do.
But I just don't understand this line of thinking. But we hear all the time, on other podcasts and stuff, of people saying, look, you're enough. Whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you don't need anybody's approval. You don't need anybody's permission other than your own. Now, I was born with my own default permission to do some things that I am not allowed to do. I was born with too much permission, but some of y'all, I was born with your permission. That's what it is. I was born with somebody else's permission.
Yes, you took somebody else's permission and somebody else took your, I don't know what to call it.
Anyway, but some people out there, and Jennie has a little bit of this to some extent. But
yeah, a little bit.
You want to talk more about it?
Well, it's almost saying you don't need to do things. You don't constantly need to be doing things to be considered valuable to others. Sometimes being dependable is enough. Showing up and doing what you're supposed to do and then leaving. That's enough. You don't need to go past the point of what's required of you all the time. Sometimes you do. Let's say, you're looking for a new job. You want to be picked for a promotion. Sometimes you need to go past, 100% or push a little further. But sometimes you just don't. To be considered valuable, you just need to be you and do what's required of you.
Yeah. Sometimes being present is more important than being an overachiever.
Yeah.
A lot of times, in friendships, I'm sure we can all think of a friend who was just there for us when we needed them, and they didn't have to do anything special. They didn't have to be anybody special. They just had to be at the right place in the right time. And if you're constantly trying to be an overachiever in certain areas of life and you're neglecting your friends and your family and other things in your life, you're not going to be there for people when they need you the most.
Right. And I feel like we saw this in the military sometimes with people who spent too much time on things that didn't matter.
Oh, gosh.
So they would exhaust themselves. Getting ready for an exercise, which, those take a lot of work. That's basically when we're practicing doing what we do. But then when it came time to actually do it, they were exhausted because they spent 16 hours at work.
Or even worse,
that last day.
The boss will mention something about so in the military you get 30,000 bosses, but one of your 30,000 bosses will say, oh, it'd be really cool if we could do X, Y, or Z, just as a random idea. Well, this one person thinks, I'm going to get promoted. I'm going to be the most valuable officer in the entire world. Guys, we're going to completely revolutionize how we do paperwork. I'm going to make new forms and new procedures, and you're going to have to stay late and come in early and do all this, that, and the other thing, and work is going to be twice as hard. Also that, we can come together as a team and, give the boss exactly what he wanted. I'm yo, he just said that in passing. I don't think he was serious.
And you know what he really doesn't want? He doesn't want you to exhaust all his people trying to grab and,
then
catch this one thing he
because
said.
then something else slips through the cracks because you're so focused on this new thing, and now he's mad at you, and you're like, I'm just trying to give you what you wanted.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make you happy. You said this.
Am I a man now, Dad?
He's like, well, now I'm really not happy because now you can't show up when I need you most.
So next time on Why Jennie and Davis Left the Military.
Oh my gosh, I know.
We will have a podcast on that one of these days. There will be an episode.
We'll have to be very...
We got a little more processing to do and emotional unloading.
Because like I said, it's not a bad gig. We're still in the military.
No, it's not a bad gig. It's just...
And
anyway.
a lot of these problems happen in corporate America too, so it's not
right. We can't just blame the military. Like, this is just humanity. So we need to blame humanity.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anyway, so let's get into some action steps. We've talked about a lot of ideas and concepts. So
this is a long one, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Or it feels long. I know it's only 35 minutes, but it feels longer than that.
Also, side note, we turn off our air conditioning when we do these podcasts because the air conditioning turning on is like a little loud because the AC unit's right outside the window to our studio. And so to preserve quality of our audio.
We didn't even talk about the AC going out.
Oh my gosh, we forgot. Hang on, let me finish what I'm saying. Then we'll go
Okay.
back to that. So we turn the AC off so you don't hear it in the mics like constantly going out. But then this room gets really hot. So sometimes some podcasts feel longer than others because we're in here and there's no AC and it's 95 degrees outside.
Inside.
Anyways,
95 degrees inside.
Anyways, it's
All right.
hot.
So action steps, and then we can go back and tell them the air conditioning story.
Okay, action steps. First one, identify your priorities in life and what matters most to you. Because if you don't have that lined up, when somebody comes to ask something of you, you're just going to fall over for them first and not prioritize anything that matters to you because you don't know what matters to you. So they're like, well, if I don't know what matters to me, I guess I'll just do what matters to you.
Right. So, I mean, just like we've kind of gave this action step in a couple podcasts ago, but like outline everything in your life, like your family, your friends, your job, your career, I don't know, your car, if that's a thing to you, your workshop, whatever it is, and just say, look, if I had to give all these things up one by one, what's the order in which I would give them up? Mm-hmm. And then you've got a really nice list of your priorities. And if something is suffering, you need to tell one of the other ones, hey, I'll be with you in a moment, but I got to take care of this right now.
Right.
Another thing that might help with that is our second action step. Write down your life values. My buddy Will Collette, he and I and our other buddy Shiv, we filmed Eric Thomas, motivational speaker guy, when he came to Los Angeles a couple years ago. And one of the things that he said to do is write down your 10 values. For him, he randomly grabbed the 10 commandments. Eric Thomas. He's like, he randomly grabbed the 10 commandments and he's like, all right, I'm going to try living by these values. And so he just recommended, he's like, yo, just pick 10 values, whatever it is for you, and write down the 10 things that make you you. What is your value system? And then every time you make a decision, pull that little card out of your wallet or wherever you keep it and say, am I abiding by my own life values in making these decisions? And again, if you've got that list of your priorities in life and then you've got your list of values, what you should do in every situation is pretty obvious. Mm-hmm. Like you pretty much know what to do in almost every situation. So that'll really help you with decision fatigue. And then for the few decisions you have to make that don't fit into those two lists, your mind is more prepared to make those decisions because you're not exhausted by having to make every last little decision.
Right.
Google decision fatigue. It's a thing.
And then
also,
the last one, identify something you've been putting off because you feel like you're not allowed to have it or do it. And maybe people get mad at you for doing that thing, but
maybe your fear of them getting mad at you is imaginary.
Right.
How many times have you been in the grocery store and you've wanted to grab something or some food or something? I know that I'm just pulling this out of context, but because we talked about it, but we've been in the grocery store and you've wanted something like a fruit or a vegetable or junk food or something. And you just no, Davis will get mad at me if I put that in the basket. I'm like, I am king of junk food. I will never tell anybody to put anything back. I might judge you. I might poke fun at you, but then I'll grab a bag of Oreos at the same time. Anyway, it's just funny how some of these people that are they feel like they always need people's permission or they always think somebody's going to get mad at them. And nobody's going to get mad at them.
Yeah, this kind of happened to us with rock climbing too, or at least me.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You want to go ahead and talk about it?
Yeah, so Well, for the self-fulfilling prophecy, it's like if you're scared somebody's going to get mad at you, you're going to manifest that in your life. And then they're going to get mad at you.
You're going to act like they're mad at you. And
Yeah.
then the person's going to be like, am I mad at them? I guess I am.
I guess I am mad at them.
Oh, yeah, that really irritated me. Like, it's funny how humans work. But anyways, rock climbing.
So we went for the first couple of times. We thought it was fun. And we're like, okay, that was cool. 2-week free trial is over, whatever. And then I was like, no, I really like that. Like, I want to keep going. And I was like, I kind of want to buy this membership. And I was like, but like it's expensive. Davis doesn't like it as much as I do, so I'll hold off. And then we held off for like a month. And then I was like, I'm going to buy it. And then I just bought it. And now we absolutely love going. Like, of course he wasn't mad. It's something for us to do together.
Yeah, I mean, please, like I have a hobby. I used to tell people I have a hobby of collecting hobbies.
Yes.
And so that's all I need is just another thing, another rabbit hole to fall down into. So, yeah. Anyway,
nice.
All right, those are your 3 action steps. Let's tell the air conditioner story real quick and get out of here.
Oh, yes. So remember that week where it was like 105, 106 degrees, like literally everywhere in the country, including Houston?
Yeah.
Our AC broke that week, just stopped working.
So we don't own the house that we're in. It's a rent house. It's very nice. The landlords are super chill, super cool. It's one of the reasons we chose the house was because the landlord was chill. But with a chill landlord also comes... more maintenance because things get ignored over time.
Yeah.
And anyway, I was gone. I was flying. I think we were in like Dallas or something for the evening, just flying with the unit. And you were here with your friend, and all of a sudden, AC goes out, right?
Yeah, and like we noticed, we're like, why is it so hot in here? And I checked the thermostat, and it's like 85 degrees. We're like, oh, and it's hot in Houston, and even when your air conditioning is working full blast 24/7, it still might not get down to like as cold as you want it to, just because it's so hot.
Well, plus this air conditioning unit that we had, like it was on its last leg. The fan at the top, like the motor wasn't balanced, so it like would always constantly shake, and like it was really loud. Like it's way louder than this new one that we got. But anyway, I spoiled the story. But anyway, it went out, and then a guy came out and like, I don't know what, do you like hot wire the motor or like he temporarily fixed it.
Yeah.
Right. And then it went out again in the middle of the night on you guys.
Right. And so my poor friend had to drive like 7 hours back home the next day and the AC went out. So like both of us are awake at 2 a.m. We like come out of the, like my room and her room and we're like, yeah, it broke again. I was like, oh my gosh, this is unacceptable. You can't drive home 7 hours and then like do a flight the next day when you haven't slept at all because it's so hot. So it was like 3 a.m. and we went and got a hotel, took like Bruce there and her dog and found a pet friendly hotel and just crashed for a few hours there because they had AC. And then had her drive home, and they ended up fixing the AC the very next day, which was insanely impressive because in Houston, when it's 170 degrees, like everybody's AC is breaking. I thought for sure we were going to be stuck for a week without it, but...
Yeah, no, they got right on top of it, and we got a whole new heating and air conditioning, so we had problems with our heater. I think we talked about that in a couple episodes ago, but yeah, like... It's been a wild week, but now we got all new heating and air conditioning. This house is all right now.
Yeah, we've gotten a few kinks worked out. A few things that were broke have since been fixed and taken care of, so... Not too shabby anymore.
Yeah. So. Anyway, but that's our show this week. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.